So these are the quiche ingredients?
Yeah, the quiche. So mushrooms, bell peppers, turkey sausage, bacon, cheese, tortillas, eggs. I use sour cream ranch dip and cottage cheese. But you can't taste the cottage cheese if you don't like cottage cheese. You can't even taste it in there, but it makes it moist.
Hi, my name is Trisha from the Culinary Command Post, and today we're going to show you how to make quiche. So I have several vegetables that we're going to put it in it. We have some bell peppers with diced tomatoes, onions, celery, and carrots. We also have some chopped mushrooms over here and some spinach. But before we do that, we're going to cook our bacon in the oven. That's the easiest way to cook bacon. Just lay it out on a sheet pan with parchment paper at 350 degrees. And then you can cook it from anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes depending on how crispy you want it. So basically, I'm going to put the bacon strips on the sheet pan with parchment paper in the oven, 350 degrees, for about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how crispy you want the bacon. And then I'll put the bacon in the quiche after I get it cooked in the oven. And our base for this quiche is going to be tortillas. So I got some extra large flour tortillas that we're going to use as the base. Okay, so I have 1 pack of hickory smoked bacon. That we're just going to lay out on the sheet pan. I've already got the oven preheated at 350 degrees. Alright, so I've got it in single layers. I'm going to put it in the oven. I'm putting it in the oven for 350 degrees for approximately 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how crispy you want your bacon to be. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cook our turkey breakfast sausage on the stove. And then we're also going to cook our vegetables, our tomatoes, our different colored bell peppers, our onions, carrots, and celery, and then our mushrooms and our spinach. All right. Turkey doesn't have a lot of oil, so you can put some butter and some oil in the bottom of the pan. The reason I put oil and butter does burn, so you do want to add oil to it so it doesn't burn as quick. So I've got oil, I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm actually going to put half the butter in this skillet And then the other half in this skillet for the vegetables that we're going to put in our quiche. While that's heating up, I'm going to get my vegetables ready. Now this is called mirepoix. You can get it at Walmart, and what it is, it's a combination that chefs use. So it's 50% onions, 25% carrots, and 25% celery. It just gives sauce and other things, like I'm making quiche with it, an extra layer of flavor. Okay, so my oil and butter is heating up here on the left. So I'm going to pour in all of the onions, carrots, and celery. And I'm just cooking them long enough to get soft and translucent on the onions. And then I'm also going to put in my spinach and my mushrooms. Alright, and then this is a handy attachment to have. It's easier to chop up your meat so it's not big chunks of meat. You just push down on it and it's really handy. It's a lot easier than using a spoon. You just go up and down and chop up your turkey sausage. Once I get the meat in, I'll go ahead and add the vegetables too. So you can make quiche with any meat or any vegetables you want. I'm just using turkey, sausage, and bacon today. I turned the meat up to high because it does take the meat longer to brown than it does the vegetables. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder to my turkey sausage and garlic powder. And then I'm going to add my tomatoes also to, these are tomatoes, diced cherry tomatoes, and then 3 different kinds of bell pepper. Okay, so while the meat's cooking, I'm going to actually get the tortillas ready. Okay, so while we've got the turkey sausage cooking on the stove, we've got the bacon in the oven, we're going to go ahead and get our tortilla ready with the other ingredients. So this is called a spring foam pan. If you've never used one, these are really handy, especially when doing quiche or making mousse cakes or different layer of desserts. These are really handy because once you get the dessert set chilled in the fridge, then you can just pop this off and the bottom comes out. So it's very handy. I'm going to use it for our quiche because you do want to use a deep based pan for your quiche because we have lots of vegetables and meat and cheese that's going in it. Alright, so you want to just make sure you've got deep based pans. These are actually Wilton pans, which are one of the best pans. And I'm going to lightly spray the bottom of each of those before I put the tortilla in. And I've got extra large tortillas. So I'll spray the bottom and then I'll just kind of spread it around with a paper towel because I don't want too much spray. And I'll make sure I wipe the sides. And then these are extra large because they're going to come up on the side to keep the filling in. So I just put them on the bottom of the pan. and then it'll have like a 1/4 inch of the edge where it's upward on the pan. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See how it goes up slightly? Now I'm going to put 5 eggs in each of these, and what I usually do is make one of these on Sunday and I'll eat it for 3 or 4 days because it's a lot. Just tucking the sides down in the corner. But you do want to get the extra large tortillas because otherwise they won't have a side to them. Okay, so we're going to put in 5 eggs. I like to break them into the cup first. That way if there's any shells, it's a lot easier to get them out. So we're going to do 5. Alright, so I got the 5 eggs broken, and I'm just going to pour them on top of the tortilla. And I'll do the next one. I'm going to stir the meat and the vegetables real fast. Okay, the sausage is almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and put the vegetables over into this skillet so we can mix them up before we actually put them in the quiche. And it's a lot of vegetables, but we do have the bacon in the oven that we're going to add also. Alright, I'm just going to let them simmer for another 5 minutes to make sure I got, maybe 10 minutes to make sure I got the mushrooms and the spinach done. I don't drain the grease on turkey because that's flavor that adds to the vegetables, and there's not that much grease anyway on those. Okay. Alright, so I'm coming back over here and I'm back putting my eggs in for my quiche. You can use 3 eggs, which is what the recipe calls for, but I put in extra vegetables, so I'm adding extra eggs because I don't want it to be too dry. Okay, now I'm going to check on my meat and vegetables. Okay, so I have the 5 eggs in there with my tortilla that's going up on the sides. I'm going to add cottage cheese. And you can put however much cottage cheese that you want. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in the center. This makes it moist, makes the quiche not dried out as much. And you really, if you don't like cottage cheese, you don't really even taste cottage cheese. I do, but you don't really taste it in there. All right, and then I'm going to add this sour cream ranch dip, and it's got onions and sour cream in it. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of that. All right, and I'm just going to put a little dab of the garlic paste. You can use fresh garlic if you want. I'm just putting a little dab on 2 sides, and then I'm going to mix the eggs around. I'm just mixing the eggs and the cottage cheese and the dip I just put in there. We're almost ready to add our meat, our turkey, and our vegetables, and then we'll be just waiting on the bacon to come out of the oven. We're going to add a little basil on top when we get everything in. And the recipe that I have below the video is for 1 quiche, so you can multiply it however many quiches you plan to make. So I'm just sprinkling the cooked vegetables and the turkey sausage, because it's going to cook in the oven for another 20 minutes. 20 to 25 depending on your oven. Okay, so that's saying the bacon is done. Let me just put a couple more spoons in here. And then we'll get the bacon out, get the grease off the bacon. Okay. Yeah, and that's done because you're also going to cook it in the quiche for another 20 minutes. So, clear that. Start. Okay, so we're going to get a plate and put our bacon on the plate with a paper towel. By using the parchment paper to cook the bacon, a lot of the grease is soaked up into the parchment paper, so there's not as much grease on here to drain. Okay, so I'm going to try to pat it dry with paper towels just to get some of the grease off. And you can use a Ninja to chop it up. The problem with the Ninja is I think it chops it too much. So I'm just going to put on some gloves and pinch it up and put it in there. Or you can use scissors too. I may do that, just use scissors. And I still have the oven on 350 because we're going to put the quiche in there in just a minute. As soon as we get the bacon and cheese on, added to the quiche, then we're going to put it back in the oven. Okay, so I'm just going to chop up the bacon. It's still a little warm, but I'm just going to chop it up. So we're going to put, we got 3 quiches, so I'm going to put about 4 pieces in each, chopped up. You can let it cool a little bit too, if you want. I just fold it in half and then chop a little bit, little bite-sized pizzas. Alright, and then our last one has a spring foam pan, and when it gets done, after it gets out of the oven, I'll show you how the spring foam pan works. Bacon. Okay, so now we're ready to add some cheese to the top after we stir in the bacon. You can just use bacon bits in here if you want, but I think the fresh bacon has more flavor, so that's why I'm using it. Alright, so then now we're going to add our cheese. And this is just shredded smoked Gouda and Mexican cheese, so whatever you like. Alright, one more. And then we're going to put it in the oven. We're going to put it in there for about 20 minutes. Make sure it's done. As long as when you wiggle it, it's not jiggling, it's done. Right. That's it on that. And I'm just going to lightly stir it in a little bit. It's on the surface, but I want it mixed in with the eggs too. Alright, so now we're going to put them in the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to put some fried onions on top of the quiche. It's been cooking for 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and so I'm just going to use the last 5 minutes and add some onions on top. Alright, I'm going to put them back in there for 5 more minutes to brown the onions. Okay, so the way to tell if your quiche is done, if you wiggle it like this and it don't wiggle, it's done. So I've had it in there 25 minutes, 20 minutes for the quiche, and then I added some fried green onions to it. So now I'm gonna let it cool before I try to get it out of the pan. Okay, this is Shell. He's gonna try the quiche, the vegetable turkey sausage and bacon quiche that I made. And he's gonna try it. He's our taste tester.
Yeah, it's good.
You like it?
Yeah.
He likes it.
It's very good.
All right, that's awesome. He likes the quiche.
Yep.
But that's how you make quiche with the vegetables in it.
Nice hot.
Turkey sausage and bacon.